Hey, everybody, welcome to a Friday night cup of Ray from down here at the world famous Berg's Sports Bar and Grill, down here on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge district of St. Petersburg. Big news today, but I wanted to go ahead and start the show off with tonight's show actually has a theme. And I actually put it in my show title for tonight. And do me a favor, y'all, if you're catching the show for the first time or you're catching it for the 100th time, because I think I've probably done 100 of these things. Lord knows I can go and go, right? Tonight's show is actually called Misconception, but let me finish what I was thinking. Please share the show. I really appreciate it. Kind of get it out there. Continue building this thing. I can't do it without y'all's help. And if you find anything about this show redeeming, or if you just get tired of watching me gloat, and I'm going to gloat tonight, and one of the reasons why I'm going to gloat right now, I'm going to tell you. And that is because late this afternoon, of course, we find out that, you know what? Even maybe there's a chance that the Rays are going to get a stadium built here in St. Pete after all. And of course, I always, all along, I couldn't figure out why this wasn't going to happen. Oh, stand by 1 second. Let me go ahead and do this. I apologize, y'all. Let me go ahead. Just stick with me. You only got 2 people watching. Stay with me. The show's going to be good tonight, I promise you. But all along, we talked about the fact that the Rays and what Stu Sternberg looked to get with the redevelopment fees with Tropicana Field, the old gas plant district just across the street there, across First Avenue South here from Ferg's. And sorry, I got to share this show with my buddy because there I am. There you go, buddy. There you are. I thought I put it in there. Let me throw it in. Let me go ahead and paste it. Paste and send. And, the thing is, I'll go ahead and say this, even when I was fortunate enough to be working with Sports Talk Florida, and I had the credentials and I was actually covering the Rays earlier this 2022 season, I made it kind of I made a point to go around to everybody in the booth because as sure as I was, because they always say you go back and you always say, I don't know if it was Gordon Gekko back in the day or if it was the Wolves of Wall Street, but you always say, or no, actually, I'm sorry. It was all the President's Men. Follow the money, right? That's what Deep Throat said. Follow the money. And I could not conceive. I'm not saying I couldn't think the city of Tampa couldn't come up with $1 billion to try to build a stadium in tiny little Ybor over there. And that still may come to pass because here's the thing. I told you tonight's show's theme is misconceptions. Another misconception this week we had was that Deion Sanders was 90% complete, done on a deal to come and coach your USF Bulls. And here's the thing. When I say misconception, I'm not saying that was misconception on that reporting, of course, from J.P. Peterson, from J.P. Peterson's show. And Peter Blake and I ran with it the other night because we heard the news and we kind of had it. We always see the thing about this is being in this business and being in this industry, we've always got our ears to the ground. It's kind of what we do. And it's not so I could give you the whole, we do it for you. Well, yeah, we do because the fact of the matter is we're trying to hear things. We're trying to get early scoops. We're trying to get the information on things that are happening to bring to you. And I'm not going to lie to you and say it doesn't help build the brand, but also it's because the reason why we enjoy doing this is we enjoy breaking some news or we enjoy being live when Tom Brady announces he's coming back after a 40-day retirement and going over 10,000 with the views. I enjoyed being down here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill that Thursday night that Jason Looking For of CBS News first put out the thought, that there's rumors that Tom Brady was going to retire. And of course, it came to pass a couple of weeks later. And then he comes back again 40 days later. We enjoy doing this. So that's the reason why we keep our ears to the ground. So we heard rumblings, we heard things. And of course, I go with my boy Peter Blake from the Sports Web, my guy. And we knew that there was some rumblings. It comes to pass now that, USF is one of those 3 schools, Colorado Buffaloes being the other one. Also, the Cincinnati Bearcats, who also have an opening into coaching. But we heard that now Deion Sanders, USF, is one of those schools. And of course, Jackson State plays tomorrow. They play their season finale tomorrow, and they're looking to go perfect, undefeated on the season. And Coach Deion Sanders, primetime, has now announced that he will make his announcement on Sunday. And it's a foregone conclusion. He'll be announcing where he's going, but USF is still very much in that mix. But the misconception earlier in the week was that there was an issue with J.P. Peterson reporting. And guys and girls, those of you that grew up in the area, you know who J.P. Peterson is. We know who that cat is. Worked for WFLA, worked for covering it, locking it down with the sportscast, sports director. And now, of course, he has his own show across multiple platforms, FanStream being one of them. You can find him on Facebook Monday through Friday. He's got a great show from 10 to 12. And I'm going to go ahead and lead with this. Our politics aren't the same. I don't like JP's politics. I'm not saying it's a problem to not like the guy. I'm just saying that we don't see eye to eye on our politics. Doesn't mean I don't respect the guy as a sportscaster, and more than that, doesn't mean I don't respect him as a fact that he's got his ear to the ground because he's got many contacts. And the report he ran last week or earlier this week is that Deion Sanders, that was 90% agreed in principle, 25 million 5-year deal. Deion wanted to have complete control with the football program, but also wanted to be an integral part of that new stadium that we know for the last 5 years, we've been talking about it for actually a decade, getting that stadium built on the USF campus over there. And that was one of the reports. And the reason why I'll go with that, with the misconception on that, is I'm not going to name names. Maybe you guys and girls out there, please comment if you know, or comment what your thoughts are about this. Do the USF Bulls, do they have the alumni? Do they have the foundation that they could even put up a 5-year and $25 million contract to bring in a Deion Sanders? A move that I say not only helps them get that stadium built and instantaneously puts many, many fans in the seats over there at Raymond James Stadium in the interim, but also gives this team a chance to beat Florida State, University of Florida, University of Central Florida, Miami, whomever, everyone else in the state, who of our young men and women for that matter, because we're getting there, guys and girls, you know we are, who wouldn't want to come to play for a coach, Deion Sanders? I like what he says about, he's about making adults of these players, not just about trying to get players, but get buried a lead. Everyone wants to come play for Deion. ESPN's College Game Day, brings it to Jackson State and what he's done for the HCBU, or the historically black college and university, HBCU, and everything he's done for Jackson State, even putting light on the fact that they had issues with water supplies. And of course, go and do the math on that, guys and girls. Look at the news on that. Look at the history, and they have problems with the pipes there in Mississippi. Great piece they ran. I think it was on ESPN. Might have been 30 for 30. Could have been HBO. No, I think it was ESPN, about the infrastructure and the politics of the public works there. And he puts light on it when they were having the water problems with being able to get water just for his players. And the fact of the matter, he puts a light on that. Love what he's done there in Jackson State. Love what he's done there in Mississippi. But, and I said I'm not going to name any names, but there were some local people, maybe or maybe not on local radio, that the day after that report ran, and maybe I took it a little personally because Peter Blake and I'm kind of waxing until I get some people in my back lobby here. I did a few invites. It's a Friday night. I said we were going to do something. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and bring this. I hope I can bring him in right now because this is my guy. From 1252 Sports, the over-under. You can see us on Sundays. I am very fortunate to be a part of this guy's show. Go ahead and welcome in here on a Friday night, Mr. Harry the Greek. Harry,
Ray, my brother, what's happening, man? Man, you're looking good out there in the Edge District.
In the Edge District. Did you see? I'm going to go ahead. I was going to go scorched earth a bit. I'm glad you came in, my friend, my brother. Did you see the news today that now all of a sudden it looks like Stu Sternberg and the Rays, they've got a company online, and they're looking, it seems like there's very much a deal's alive to put a stadium across the street there at the Tropicana Field site.
Yeah, that's what I heard. And you know who actually broke that first?
Who's that?
A guy by the name of Peter Blake from the
Yes, he
Sports
did,
Web.
brother. Yes.
Moons ago, he said that's exactly what was going to happen.
Oh, sorry, I was getting a sip of. It's Friday night, so I was getting a sip of. By the way, this cup of Rays brought to you by High Life. Actually, I want to go and remind everybody that tomorrow morning, and I talked to Coach on this, the men's national team in the World Cup in the round of 16 play the Netherlands at 10 o'clock. Now, Fergs usually opens at 11 o'clock on Saturdays, but Coach is opening everything up at 9 a.m. tomorrow, so you can come in here. We got the most beautiful weather here in St. Petersburg and Pinellas County, which is, by the way, where they're going to have a stadium for your Rays moving forward. So come on down to Fergs, get your table early, and have a great time. Peter broke that. And the thing that's so funny is I'm going to go ahead and say this because I was sharing earlier that back when I was writing for Sports Talk Florida and I was media credential for the Rays, I would go up to everybody and I would say, why can't there be a stadium here in St. Pete? Well, it's got to be in Tampa because it's closer to 2.5 million people who live in the cow fields over there in Pasco County or the pastures or Lakeland. I said, why? I said, do you not understand what the money means for Stu Sternberg? 50% of the development rights from Tropicana Field if the Rays are in St. Pete in 2027. And now today we're hearing about that. Harry, isn't that something that you and I have talked about many, many times? And don't you also agree with that?
Yeah, I do actually, Ray. Really good point. I do agree with that as well. And you know what's even better is that the Tampa Bay Rays are going to sit put right here in the St. Pete area, like they were supposed to in the first place. So do we kind of give Stu Sternberg just a little bit of slack?
No.
No.
No. But I'll tell you what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to go a little scorched earth here on a Friday night. Please share the show, guys and girls. So, as Harry says on the over under on 1252 Sports every Sunday, so we can grow this thing organically. I am so tired of hearing people in Hillsborough County tell me about how we can't cross the bridge for a Rays game. It's so hard to get to a Rays game. And Harry, you and I grew up here. How fucking hard was it back in the day to go to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game when Howard Franklin was 2 lanes in each direction and it was log jam from the Pinellas County side? It took us an hour and a half to get just across that bridge.
When you wanted to go, you went.
Exactly. You
Go
wanted to
support
go.
your team. Okay. You know what? And I don't understand that. You know, people in the Orlando market go to support either the Dolphins or they head up the I-4 corridor and then they head up 95 and they go see Jacksonville. We're talking about driving 20 minutes. 20 minutes
Yes.
to go see a
Yes.
Tampa Bay Ray game. Come on, give me a break.
And here's the thing
But
about baseball. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
but then again, you really need to put a product on the field, and Stu really needs to get off his wallet, and he needs to put a product out there. And let's help out some of these kids out there, because I'll tell you what, this team could be really something special.
That's a great point because if you don't have a team that nobody wants to go see, and we see this all across Major League Baseball.
How about Jacob DeGrom going to the
To the
Texas
Rangers.
Rangers?
Oh.
That team, not just that, buddy. This team is setting themselves up to win like right now.
No, I'm sorry. No, I was going to say that. I mean, I saw that break on my phone tonight. You know, there's been so much news this week. And I mean, we're talking about just here in the Tampa Bay area. Now, you and I have talked about what it would possibly mean. And of course, this is another thing. Of course, JP Peterson originally broke it, but then Peter and I had that show earlier this week. And I know you couldn't come on it because you were getting some honey. You were getting some honey, I love you time. I
Oh,
kid
yeah.
you. No, I'm just busting you. No, the beautiful Miss Jamie, she deserves some time with her guy. But Deion Sanders coming to a USF Bulls program. I mean, what could that mean for this? If they're trying to get a stadium built, they just fired Jake Scott after he went 1-8 to start the season. That experiment failed. 2015 and 16, this team goes double-digit wins twice in a row, and then it's crickets. What would a coach like Deion Sanders coming to the USF Bulls program mean for the Tampa Bay area?
I don't know, Ray. I think it would be good for the fan base. I think it would be good for the USF organization because, I mean, whenever you get prime time to come into your backyard, I mean, he's going to put people in the stands. I'm going to tell you right now, they play their games over at Ray J.
Yes,
They pack it
without a doubt.
because of prime time. So when that happens after the first year, now the recruitment process comes in. But I'll tell you what it does to the Florida Gators, the Seminoles, UCF, and Miami.
Looking
It
over
puts
their
a
back,
hurt. Yeah,
right?
it puts a hurting on them because some of these big time blue chip collar players that we're going to be signing with them are now going to USF. Because let's be
Yes,
frank, man, you're sitting across from your mom and dad, and who's sitting across from you? Primetime Deion. I'm sorry, Coach Sanders.
Coach Sanders.
Okay, I mean,
Yes.
not Colonel Sanders, Coach Sanders. Say hi.
Well,
Okay.
Harry, you kind of know something about that. You were heavily recruited there at a
Yep.
Tarpon Springs High back in the day. I don't want to say heavily. You were recruited. You understand how this thing works. And you know that Deion Sanders, Coach Deion or Coach Primetime's MO, is he sits with these parents and he lets them understand. And you know what? It might be this way for 85% of the college programs in this entire country. But Coach Deion sits across from them face to face, and he says, look, and he doesn't say this, I'm paraphrasing, but he doesn't say, I'm not going to tell you it's not about winning and having the best program, but I'm about making your youngster an adult. And I say that because let's be honest, I think we're minutes or days or weeks or a year away, and we've already had some of our first female players at the NCAA level, which we
Yeah.
totally love. They can bring it, and they should. So I say people and adults, but you got Deion Sanders sitting across from you, and people from our generation that watched Deion Sanders when he was at Florida State University back in the day. That carries a lot of weight. And now you got a guy that's going to bring a winning program, and he's trying to get your kids to come. That would cut into this recruitment out of Florida in a hurry,
Brother,
wouldn't it?
let me tell you something. It really would. And it's not just Florida. It'd be Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia,
Oh,
Tennessee, South Carolina. I'm telling you, it would really, really put a hurting on some of these Florida schools. And it might even level out the playing field because let's be really honest, man. When the Florida Seminoles were in stride. They were a dominant force, especially in the ACC. I don't have to give you explanations about the Florida Gators. I mean, give me a break, man. They were a premier school for so many years that it wasn't even funny. I mean, it just seems like, you have Alabama. They were dominant for years.
Yes.
And now you have the new Alabama called Georgia, one state over. Okay. I mean, and forget about the University of Miami. Has any team ever done what the University of Miami did from the 80s throughout the 90s and into the early part of the new millennium? I've never seen it happen in my lifetime. And you know what, Ray? No one will ever see that in their lifetime. The dominance, not even the dominance from the Alabama Crimson Tide could could ever compete with those teams from the 80s and even include into the mid 90s when Warren Sapp was coming out of there. I mean, it was just absolutely sick
Oh,
what those
and then
teams
Jimmy
did.
Johnson. Well,
Oh
was
my lord.
actually it was Schnellenberger right first, but then it was
Yep.
Jimmy Johnson, and then even Dennis
Switzer,
Harrison.
no, Switzer came from Oklahoma. That's right.
Yeah, but look at the quarterbacks. They went Jim Kelly, they went Bernie Kosar, Vinny Testaverde, even Craig Erickson, who, by the way, until Tom Brady became quarterback of your Buccaneers, and I'm not putting Brad Johnson down, but that guy was a Seminole. I'm kidding. That alone deserves a share. Please share the show. But the quarterback, I mean, it was the you. But Harry, let me transition real quick because I don't know how long I got you, and I appreciate you coming in here. Deshaun Watson gets his start this week. The NFL did their best. And man, wasn't it smart of the NFL? Because here's the irony, Harry. They bury it on 11, or it's week 12, but they make them wait 11 games, and they put them against the 1-8-1 Houston Texans, which they've already got they got the number one overall draft pick in the entire NFL. They are the shittiest team in this National Football League. But it's also the team that Deshaun Watson formerly played for. Of course, he plays on Sunday. 6 months ago, we were ready to string this guy up. I'm still not ready to forgive him. I've still not seen any kind of redemption. I've not seen him ask for forgiveness. I've seen no kind of reconciliation toward any of the people. How do you feel about Deshaun Watson getting his first start on Sunday? Or should we just go along with status quo, which seems to be the NFL and all the media outlets are just going, hey, this guy's one of the best. Let's go.
Well, you know what? That's where I'm going to separate myself from all the pundits around the North America. A matter of fact,
Yes.
because they decided because it was old news, we're just going to forget about it. No, the guy's a sicko. Okay,
Yes.
he's a sicko who should have went to jail. Okay, forget about being suspended. The man is a sicko. This is my opinion. I said it, sicko with a capital S. Okay,
Yes.
but from a gambling standpoint, hold on, baby, because wait till
Oh,
wait,
grab him and
and,
go.
and I have been telling everybody this, my friend, is going to be so much fun to watch the weekend. Over under how many protesters outside the stadium?
Oh, and then of course I think it's 10 or 11 of the accusers. Of course, there was 29 total with the
Mhm.
accusations of either sexual harassment or I forget the exact charges. 11 of those accusers are going to be there, and I heard someone today on the national media say they should sit them right behind the Cleveland Browns players bench. And I'm thinking, oh God, that takes me back to I don't even remember what presidential candidate where they had all the accused. Oh, I know what it was. Was it Bill Clinton? Oh my God, it was. It was when Hillary Clinton ran for president and they had all the women. No, was it? I don't want to go there. I don't want to get political
I
on a
don't know,
Friday night.
buddy. I mean, between Bill Clinton and Deshaun Watson and a Monica special, who knows? I have no idea. Hey, Bill, how you doing,
Wait, I
man?
noticed you
Can I
stayed a
help you?
lot. I noticed you stayed a lot toward the left side of the aisle, but I'm not going to
Yeah,
go there with you.
yeah.
Please share the show.
Hey,
Um,
you know what? I do want to share one thing. I was talking to a colleague of mine from Two Giant Goofballs, Andrew Davis, and he sent me a little meme. Not really a meme. He sent me something. He said it's a shame what's going on with
good.
Antonio Brown, with CTE and this and that. And I went, CTE? He's a fucking woman beater. I mean,
Who's?
really?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's beating up on his girlfriend. What does that have to do with CTE?
Although, let's be honest, I who knows? And I'm not going against you, brother. I get you.
I mean,
But from
give
what
me a
I heard,
break.
from what I heard, he threw a shoe at her, and and the way it was described on ESPN.com was it hit her ponytail. So now I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
Okay,
that.
he didn't hit her. I take it
Well,
back.
but
But how, but
obviously,
why does hold on? But why do athletes get a pass? if I took a shoe and threw it at my wife,
Yeah.
okay, and it hit her ponytail, I'd get my ass kicked for one, but there it wouldn't be forgiving for me,
No, no,
you
and
know.
I think the thing is it now? Am I right at this late stage? You don't mind? I'm gonna bring this guy in right now. I got someone else in my back lobby. I ran with him today, and I want to get your opinion on this, Harry. Go ahead and welcome to the show, the Rock Dolphin, of course, my friend Richard Rock. Hey, Richard, how are you tonight?
What's up, Rich?
What's up?
How you
And we've
guys doing?
we've done this together before. Now, am I right though? I don't want to call it a standoff because here's what happens: the police tried to get a special. They tried to get a magistrate or a judge to sign off on it was for his own good, and the judge actually came back and said, "No, don't try that." But they still haven't gotten AB arrested or gotten to his house, have they?
No, and that's the thing I'm asking now. If the guy knows, well, wait a minute, maybe he doesn't know that he's got a warrant for his rights. It's on every friggin' network there is. Why don't you man up if you didn't do anything and go turn yourself in just so they can let you go?
He likes the
Why?
attention. He likes the
What?
attention.
Well, that's just it, right? That's the reason why the guy drops an album the day after he walks off the field in MetLife Stadium, because
Did
for him, it's all
anybody see
about
that?
being at center.
Did anybody see that ridiculous ass dance that he was doing on stage?
And
Harry.
It almost looks like he was trying. Well, it's a cross between a crip walk and a crip walk.
Wait a minute, are you trying to go?
Yes.
Oh, I'm trying to get some gritty. Hey, the thing is, though, God, I got no comments in here. Is this stuff really that dry, or is this comment machine not working?
Let
Please,
me
if
see.
y'all got any comments out there, I got nothing. I got DMs coming left and right. But here's the thing: the NFL and
Down with the damn.
Roger Goodell's in his basement over there, and that big lazy boy that he's got that we saw back in 2020 during the NFL draft, and he's going, "Oh my God, Antonio Brown! Oh my God, chronic traumatic encephalopathy! Oh, this is the worst thing ever." Because for the NFL, this kind of news they don't like. But at the end of the day, we're all starting to see this, right, Rock? I mean, isn't this one of those things where we kind of look at this and we go, yeah, I mean, we all know this is a real thing. This isn't good news for the NFL. I'm sure they're hoping this AB thing goes right away.
I don't think they care.
That's
Honestly,
true.
I
I
mean,
know.
there's so many good games. They're not. Honestly, it hasn't even been really talked about. At least from what every time I'm either on Twitter or I'm listening to ESPN, I haven't heard too much about the AB thing. It's like maybe a split second, but for the most part, they've been talking about like the big games coming up. So I mean, AB he does it to himself. He's probably gonna get a little bit of hype, but for the most part, I don't. I think because it happened in Tampa Bay, maybe we're hearing a little bit more, but I don't think anybody else cares too much.
Yeah, Harry, the thing about it that got me was he actually said that his kids, I think he's got 3 or 4 kids with the young lady that this all happened with, and he said
And he's got 3 or 4 kids in Hillsboro. The guy's got a kid in every county.
Well, but the thing is, he says the kids can come back in the house, and the kids were like, we don't like him when he's like this. And of course, they stated on the original call that went in, they said that he had a gun. I mean, I think I'm speaking for all 3 of us here, guys, when I say that we don't want this to end the way
No,
we've seen some of these things end
no,
like that for players with chronic traumatic encephalopathy. No,
no. I don't want to see anything like that
yeah, I
happen.
mean we're joking, but yeah.
Do you, Zipper? Do you want to see anything happen to him? No,
Look at Zipper, man. Zipper's the
no,
best.
no.
Just I don't need to see the backside. Save that for Sunday morning. Hey, Rock, Harry, if you got to go, let me know. But I want to
I
get
ain't
you.
gotta go.
Okay, Rock.
Yep.
Deshaun Watson's coming back on Sunday. Of course, it's against the Houston Texans. The
Woohoo.
NFL buries that game.
Talking about
Who's
women's
not
beer.
gonna
Or
watch that? I mean, now, Rock, we've seen the news all week. It's like, oh, Deshaun Watson can extend plays. He's an improviser. He's one of the best and buried elite. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League.
Mhm.
Has he gotten through all this? Is it just going to go away now, or is that cat ever going to
No.
come out and just say he's sorry?
No, actually, those women aren't going to go to the game. Those, which I don't know
What was
why.
that? Hold on. They're going to the game
Yeah,
There's
a couple
11
of
women going to the
they're
game.
going to the game.
just to
So
go see him. I mean,
yeah, I
they're
think
like close friends and buddies. They still like massage him.
Well, no,
I
Harry.
around.
I think all parties involved are hoping for a happy ending.
Tell me about it.
Oh God.
My
I-
happy ending is pay me, bitch.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know why they're going. I mean, they're getting paid. I'm pretty sure those women. So I think they said that they were wanting to bring it back to light again or whatever. I don't know. I think they're seeking attention right now too. I mean, look, whatever happened between them, that's what happened between them and Deshaun. But you got your money. Let it go. Let it be done. Let it be over. That was the whole point of getting your money, so it could be done. But I guess
Yes.
they want to say no. We're
Oh,
going for the
Mr.
game.
Watson, would you like cinnamon smell or strawberry smell flavor tonight?
To me, it makes no sense.
Hey, let's go ahead.
Ray
No, it
finally caught
doesn't.
that one.
Oh, I caught it right away. Now let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and transition off this. I think we've said enough about Deshaun Watson, but Harry,
Sir.
of course, Rock he's a Bucks fan, but he's first and foremost a Dolphins fan. And Harry, you break down film, so I want
Yes,
you to
I do.
listen to what Rock's going to share with us. And then, of course, Harry, the professional handicapper who breaks down a lot more film than either one of you or me, Rock, does, can follow up. Rock, what are the Dolphins going to do as they visit Candlestick or Levi Stadium this week against those 49ers that maybe the Bucks can take away when we visit next week and play that same 49ers team?
I think we are going to be doing kind of what we talked about earlier, a little bit more rollouts, especially with Toronto Armstead being out. National media is trying to say that we have two starting left or two starting offensive tackles out. That's not really true. Austin Jackson's been out for almost the whole year. Shell's been our starting right tackle, and actually better than Austin Jackson. Austin Jackson came in against Houston, and he got mollywopped. He was doing wash on, wash off to one of the guys, the defensive ends, and the defensive ends is like,
Oh,
get
wait a
off
minute.
me.
They were doing a Deshaun Watson move. Wax
Yeah,
Wax
on,
on, wax
whack
off.
off.
yeah.
No, wax off, not whack off, wax off.
Oh,
Hey, is there a nationality or ethnic group we haven't offended already yet today, guys? Let's
How
go
about the
for
Greeks,
the
man?
fences.
Hey, all right, you know what? I'm going to offend my own
Opa.
race. You ready? Opa. Hey, you know why Greek boys, you know why we grow mustaches?
why?
Why, Harry?
Anybody? That's so we can look like our mothers.
I'm not even going to
He
touch
just
that.
choked on his beer.
Because, hey, I know your mother. Not only does she not have a mustache, but she's a beautiful lady. I'm not going to agree with you on that one.
Don't worry. We're here, right here on a Cup of Ray. We are equal opportunity offenders. Trust me.
Rock,
Straight
you
down the board.
Rock, you and I talked about this earlier, and of course, you talked about the mobility with Tua, and that could be an important thing to keep Bosa and that 49ers defense honest. And of course, we know the Buccaneers with Tom Brady at quarterback. No offense, Tom, but especially in 2022, mobility is not going to happen. What other things do you think that Mike McDaniel, former offensive coordinator for those 49ers, will be able to bring into a game plan to have success there this week at Levi Stadium against those 49ers?
Well, I think what the Greek was saying, what I think it was last time I was on, is your run game. I know San Francisco is probably one of the top run defenses, but you're going to have to run the ball. You maybe do outside runs. Get it away from Tom's hands and not have him get crushed, especially you're not getting Tristan Wirfs to help block him because we're dealing with the same issue of not having Teron Armstead. So, like you said, I think you should watch this game very strongly and seeing what we do. Now, you're not going to be able to copy the whole thing because Mike McDaniel does a different type of offense. And Todd Bowles would probably look like this, like, what did you guys just do?
Jeez,
Wait,
don't
no,
even
hold
go
on.
there.
He probably wouldn't do that. So he'd be like,
Unfortunately, Rock, I love your analogy in this, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be using none of the game tape from Miami going into this game. And I'm going to tell you why. Two completely different philosophies. And by the way, the Greek's going to give out an early prediction. I'm not even doing it on my show because you need to jump on it because the smart money is going to be starting to be bet on Miami in this game. Right now, Miami's getting 4.5 points and they're plus 180. Don't even bother taking them on the points. This is an underdog on the road that's going from the East Coast to the West Coast. They win this game. And you know what's even a better bet, Ray and Rock? Bet the over, because by the time the third quarter is just starting, the game will already start and approach being over. Both teams are going to score. Both teams are going to score. The total's 46 points. Neither team can stop a cold right now. 3 of the 4 defensive linemen for the San Francisco 49ers, the vaunted defense, they're injured. They are showing really regressions. The pass rush isn't getting there, with the exception of Bosa. And all you've got to do, and believe me, they have running backs and tight ends there, and they like to sweep that guard over to the right or swing it to the for their max protect to go ahead and chip them. San Francisco is going to struggle mightily against those receivers and against Tua and that offense this weekend. From the other side of the football, they're going to struggle a little bit against that zone blocking because Miami's defense, they really need a lot of help. That defensive line is really bad right now. They are not playing good disciplined defense. They're not staying in their gaps. If they stay in their gaps, they will limit them to about 125 yards rushing. That's right. That's if they stay and maintain their gaps. This team could not stop a cold against the run right now. But
Well,
Miami has not shown me in 4 straight games that they're playing disciplined defense on the defensive line. But I have Miami winning this game by 10 points in this game. Bet the over and bet the fish.
Thoughts,
I
Rock?
kind of I do disagree a little bit with the run defense because when it comes to rushing quarterbacks, we can't stop anybody. You put Lamar Jackson, you put Josh Allen, you put who else did we play? Justin
Justin
Fields.
Fields.
We can't stop them. Now the running
That's
backs,
true. Those are three running quarterbacks.
the backs besides the Jets running back who got injured, we've been actually doing pretty well against stopping them. Chubb didn't do too much until that long run for 36 yards, but they didn't do too much. So
When I'm Rock, with
see?
all due respect, when I'm talking about run, I'm not just talking about running from the backfield, and I'm not
Okay.
talking about Garoppolo taking off. I'm talking
Oh,
about
yeah, he's
Debo
not gonna
catching that 1 or 2 yard slant, the little hitch coming out of the
Ah,
backfield,
okay. I get
leaning
you.
it over the
And I'll
backside.
tell you what,
All
also,
right, I get you there.
Christian McCaffrey's starting to come into his own. And obviously, that's the reason why the Niners actually picked that cat up from those Carolina Panthers. It's because they're planning to use him. And with that, like you said, Harry, that zone blocking scheme that Kyle Shanahan
It's
runs,
devastating.
the same one that his father Mike Shanahan ran with not only the Broncos but the Washington. They were the Redskins at the time, so I could say that. But yeah, I mean, Rock, are you a little worried about Christian McCaffrey in that running game, and especially like Harry said, those short passes to Debo? They end up being a screen that go for like on an average 14 yards.
No, what's funny is because I think we have their offensive coordinator from last year and the
That's
guy
true.
that's been around Shanahan for almost a decade, if not more, who knows Shanahan inside and out. Oh yeah, we got that guy, Mike McDaniels. That is that I think will understand what his tendencies are. Now Shanahan might think he knows Mike McDaniel, but he doesn't know Tyreek Hill. He doesn't. Well, maybe he does because Tyreek Hill's eating him. But I don't think he understands what Tua is. Like that's where Mike McDaniel comes into play. He understands every player on the 49ers. Shanahan doesn't. Shanahan
Let-
hasn't sat down and played with
let-
these guys.
Listen, Rock, I'm going to tell you this.
Hmm.
The Miami Dolphins, and I'm not trying to make your head swell up the size of your garage there. The
Like
Miami
a snowman.
Dolphins, okay? The Miami Dolphins right now are the team that nobody's talking about. When they beat the 49ers this weekend, let me tell you what's going to happen. You now have to put them in the same conversation. I didn't say Buffalo because Buffalo, that team is regressing, not ascending. You have to put them in the same category
Don't
that
say it.
everybody
Don't
was.
say it. The
Hey,
baby goat. The baby
the
goat.
baby goat with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh,
Mohawk,
The
mini
same
Mohawk?
team that every pundit, except for the Greek, by the way, has said that the Kansas City Chiefs will be fighting for last place in their division. And I said that is incorrect. Kansas City's still going to be the best team in the AFC until we see what happens with the Miami Dolphins. I said Cincinnati was done. They're not done, but they're not making any kind of noise. The team to beat this year, if they beat the 49ers, and when they do, it's going to be the Miami Dolphins, and people are going to have to start paying respect to them. The unfortunate thing is they're going to have to score 40 points to win because they couldn't stop a cold.
I think the Dolphins will be able to do it too. I think we're hyped for this game. Now, this whole next 3 games for Miami is going to be tough. If we could come out of it 2-1, we're at San Fran, out LA, and then going to Buffalo.
Okay. I'm telling you now, they beat Frisco. It's all about that momentum. They win their next 2. This team is for real. I'm telling you,
in this
offense is so disciplined on offense. It's literally it's scary. This is a better version of offense than the 2 years ago what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was putting out on the field. I'm not kidding you. That is how scary this offense is and how disciplined they are. I wish they ran the ball a little bit better, and I wish their tight end play would be just a smidge better than what it is, but they do an extraordinary job blocking. The problem with this team is it's the defensive side of the football. That's the only problem.
Hey guys, I got a couple. If you don't mind me, for some reason, StreamYard and Facebook are a bitch, and I mean by bitch, I mean you're a bitch. They don't let the comments come in here, but I do have comments going on here, so I want to go ahead and throw these comments.
I gave you some.
No, well, Christopher Cole said good evening, Ray, and everyone. Alex Nunster says it's a done deal, dude. Chill. I think he's talking about Deion Sanders. Rock, real quick, while I'm getting to the rest of these comments, what do you think about the fact or possibility that Deion Sanders could be the next coach for these USF Bulls?
Yeah,
I think that's wishful thinking.
Why?
I mean, there's other big organizations out there. Colorado's out there. They have an offer on the table right now. I mean,
yes.
USF. I mean, maybe he'll do it like he did with JUCO. Maybe he wants to make a name for himself and bring the last time USF has been relevant was what Levitt, and then my boy actually destroyed them because of his old scandal.
Coach Levitt was just at my shop not too long ago. We
Yeah.
actually
Coach
had him
Levitt.
on my show. We had
Yes.
Coach Levitt.
Yes, we
Ray, how
did.
long?
You
How
did,
long was
Harry.
Coach Levitt on my show? About
God, he came on for the entire show, but I mean, he's and like he said when he let off the show that day, he's always available to come back on. That cat just loves to talk football.
Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, I'm going to break something to you. When Coach Fangio decides that he wants to coach again next year, and everybody's like, "What happened to Fangio?"
Come back to Miami.
Hold on, Coach Fangio got paid. He got paid for sitting
Yes.
down this year. He says, "I'm taking a sabbatical." Next year, you're going to hear it. Fangio will be a defensive coordinator somewhere, and Coach Levitt will have a job again in the National Football
And
League.
I'm going to work me back to that, but I want to go ahead and say here, Rock, Keith Tickner was wondering why Rock is stuck in the garage. Keith Tickner. And also
Yeah.
Keith, of course, I wanted Keith to come on tonight. I didn't share the show because Keith's my soccer guy. He's a soccer aficionado, but he's also a soccer savant. And we were talking about the USA versus Netherlands tomorrow. And Keith also says, line them up front row. I think he's talking about those the accusers for Deshaun Watson. But let me ask you something, Harry.
Yes, sir.
I mean, Vic Fangio, is he kind of the reason why the Broncos have the best defense in the National Football League, but then buried a lead? Their offense is among the worst. I mean, how many times is Vic Fangio? He did it in Chicago. He went out to Denver. How many times is that cat going to go somewhere and build a fundamental defensive defense and then not get credit for it?
I don't know, man. He started that with the San Francisco 49ers. If you really want to get technical about it, he had. I mean, let's talk about some linebackers and some defensive linemen. Boy, they really, they were studs. You say, hey, Bandit, how are you? Did you like Vic Fangio? Bandit. Here.
That's all right. You got Bandit on screen. I'm getting ready to get lucky with a homeless lady walking by. So
Yes.
I mean, things are getting better and better, baby.
Hey, Ray, you got $10? Ray's like, just a minute, Harry, take over the show. I'm not going to
comment on it. Please share the show because, like I said, Facebook's not sharing. Let me go ahead and transition this thing. Talking about the Bucs. The Bucs played the Saints on Monday night. Rock, real quick, what's the Bucs' problem in 2022? Why are these Buccaneers not having this? And I talked about this show. The theme of this show is misconception. The misconception was when Tom Brady announced he was coming back, even though we kind of buried the lead that Bruce Arians was stepping aside and Todd Bowles was taking his team over. Why are these Buccaneers in 2022 not having the success we thought they would?
I think I was telling you earlier. I thought it was Tom Brady and Mike Evans aren't. At least it seems like they're not on the same page, or they're not. He's not getting them the ball. I don't understand it, and maybe even the Greek was talking about earlier, not running the ball. It just seems like they're being very inconsistent with offense. And when you guys went on your Super Bowl run, they were very consistent. And actually, I'm going to go into this. What happened to the aggressiveness? What happened to going for it on fourth down? What happened to the surprises? What happened to throwing the ball right before half and throwing it to Wes Welker Jr. or Edelman Jr. for a touchdown?
Wait a minute, Rock, hold on. I hear you saying what happened to the no risk it, no biscuit. Harry the Greek, what happened to the Buccaneers no risk it, no biscuit?
If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were still playing the risk it, no biscuit, they'd have 2 less wins.
Really?
This year. Yeah, they really would be. They need to run the football even more. They need to become more balanced. They're less balanced with this team, believe it or not, than they were from 2 years ago.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean,
how about that?
That's crazy.
And it starts off in the beginning part of the season. Bury the lead, as Ray would say. I mean, Tom Brady, he misses 10 or 14 days. I don't know. Your star running back who got fed like Ezekiel Elliott, he decided to come in 60 pounds overweight. I mean, give me a break. There was no, I don't know how to put it. What do you think, Bandit? No? Okay. I don't know, man. I just don't know. It's very disconcerting to see exactly what had happened to this team. It has all the talent, but I'm going to tell you right now, this offensive line has been the Achilles heel of this football team.
Yeah.
And just as well as I do, and I know The Rock knows because he'll probably forget about football more than people will learn in a lifetime. When you have an offensive line that is as decimated and as bad as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are right now, the last thing you want to do is have a 45-year-old statue sitting in the back trying to sling the ball all over the field because you're going to get them killed. It's easier to run block than it is to pass block.
Ouch.
Rock?
Yeah, I saw that for 2 years with 2 on the ground half the time. Yep. So getting benched.
And by the way, that's Turbo.
Hey, Turbo. Oh, his blood right to your face. Oh, no, gone.
And that's
Exit stage right. But I'll tell you what, you guys said a mouthful there, but I mean, here's what I think is I'm not taking anything away from this. Jason Light had put a team together that when Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles and Larry Foote and the rest of the gang and Tom Moore come here in 2019, Buccaneer fans knew that we had a chance for some success. I don't think anybody knew the Buccaneers had a chance for a Super Bowl championship there in '55 in Super Bowl over here at Raymond James Stadium. Of
You
course, the Super
believed it,
Bowl-
Ray. You thought it was happening.
Well, I did, but because I saw what Jason Light had put together. But I think one of the most surprising things in 2022 is, I mean, the thing is, you lose Ali Marpet retires, Pro Bowl guard. Alex Kappa gets signed away. Ryan Jensen, Pro Bowl center, he gets injured before the season even starts. 5 minutes in a training camp, Pro Bowl center, and of course Tristan Wirfs goes down in overtime. You know what? Forget that thought I was just having. What did you guys, both of you? I'll start with you, Harry Greek. Forget about the fact that Todd Bowles plays for overtime last week, but when Tristan Wirfs goes down in overtime, should Buccaneer fans have had a reason to be pissed off at Coach Todd Bowles for even playing for overtime and losing your all-pro, all-American guard, or all-American, your all-pro right tackle and Tristan Wirfs for an extended period of time?
I'm going to answer that in two parts. Two
Please.
years ago when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, it's just like any other team. The team that stays the healthiest throughout the course of the season, you typically generally has the best run in the playoffs and has the best chance of winning the Super Bowl. And that's, besides playing defense and having great quarterback play. It's so difficult to go 2 consecutive years to be healthy, especially on the offensive line. It's literally impossible. I implore anybody to try to go out there and try to challenge me on that. It's very difficult. Now, with this current team, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But you know what? It's not the end of the world for them. This team can still make a push and make it to the playoffs, even being sub 500. Not saying they're going to do anything with it, but was I mad about what had happened with going for overtime? Hindsight's 2020, Ray.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even be having this conversation right now if had Tampa won the game in overtime.
Well, Rock, do me a favor. Give, as a Dolphins aficionado, but also a Bucks fan, because I know your brother, give me the reason why if this Buccaneers team does literally back into the NFC South, which is literally the NFC least of 2022, give me a reason to hope that maybe the mystique of Tom Brady in the postseason and the magic, forget the offensive line issues. Hopefully Tristan Wirfs comes back. Maybe Ryan Jensen pops in there, but right now we're not hearing anything. Rock, give me a reason why Bucs fans should be excited about the Buccaneers backing into the playoffs should it happen in 2022.
Tom Brady.
Okay. That's true.
Look, you saw what he did with the Rams in 30 seconds, and that was before they got decimated with defense. Their defense was so good. They did it against Ramsey with 30 freaking seconds. Tom Brady marched right down the goddamn field and scored a touchdown.
Yep, he sure did.
He can do it in the playoffs. I think what I mean by aggressiveness, give the damn ball to Tom Brady at the last second. Let him do his thing in the last second. I would agree with you throughout the game, run the ball, control the clock. But when you need a touchdown, when you need some points in the last minute, the last couple seconds, you give him the goddamn ball and let the man work. Let him
Rock,
do his magic.
I agree with you, but do you know reason why it's not working for them right now?
Your offensive line.
It's not. You know what? I'm going to keep pounding that. I'm going to pound on that narrative. It's the offensive line. The defense is literally the last 4 games. I have not seen one time. If you can get a hold of coach's tape, or just even rewatch the game,
all 11s.
I want you to
22.
look at the linebackers and particularly the safeties in the corners. How many times they're peeking into the backfield? They're not.
But
that's why the Mike Evans connection isn't working right now, because they're double covering him and they're rolling the safety coverage over the top, literally on every play. They're not respecting the run game, guys.
But no, and I get that because we saw it when the Buccaneers got stopped through the third and fourth quarter, and then all through overtime. It reminded me of that game 4 years ago against the Oakland Raiders at the time at Raymond James Stadium, where it went back and forth and back and forth. But I get what you're saying, Harry. But let me ask you this. Isn't there something to be said when Todd Bowles is calling a bitch game, playing for overtime, when Chubb gets the ball first down inside the 15 and there's a minute and 50 seconds on the clock and they call no timeouts.
I
And
know.
and Rock, you
That
alluded
drove
to
me
this.
nuts.
You got the greatest of all time on your sideline. Doesn't that kind of the 53 guys on the sideline? Isn't there come a point, because we remember guys in high school, and then those of you who played college, and of course in the pros, we all know a coach and the decision he's making. When your coach is bitching out playing for overtime because he doesn't trust you to score that Ryan Suckup field goal, regardless of whether the other team scores, it brings you down a little, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And you know what? I want to finish that last part of the question that you were talking about. I just wanted to make one more statement. You're right. Why not give Tom Brady that chance? He's deserved it. 7 Super Bowl rings, greatest of all time. But Tom Brady has never been 45 years old, guys, and
That's a good point.
he's never ever had an offensive line this broken. Ever.
I
Ever.
agree with you. I agree
And
with
I
you.
don't care if you had the best quarterback of all time in Joe Montana or Dan Marino. I said quarterback, okay, not best player, best quarterback. They would suffer too. I'm sorry. When you don't have time and you don't have defenses respect your run game, they're going to get to you, especially a quarterback that's just a statue. I'm sorry. And
Couldn't you do rollouts though?
Dan
Wouldn't you?
Marino, in my eyes, was the best QB ever to suit up in football. Quickest release. I mean, my God, it was poetry in motion to watch that guy play. And because he didn't have a running game, how many Super Bowls did he win?
Why did you?
0.
Why'd you have to bring that up?
You know what it
Because
was, Harry? You know
just
what it
being
Why
was?
bring that up?
One play, one play, one play did it for me. Forget about the fact that he comes out of Pittsburgh. Forget about the fact that in '83 the Buccaneers had traded away their '83 draft pick because they moved up in the second round to draft Booker Reese in '82, and we give away our '83 draft pick. And our quarterback in '83 was the throwing Samoan Jack Thompson after they let Doug Williams
I
walk.
remember him.
I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. You Culverhouse, turn over in your grave twice tonight thinking about that one. But one play with me, Dan Marino. Dan Marino walking to, and Rock, you remember this one. Dan Marino walking to the line of scrimmage and going, clock it, and then throwing it for the touchdown when the defense isn't waiting. Dan Marino may have been the best gamer quarterback of all time.
Dude.
And you're right about that quick release. I love that cat.
That release, you'll never, ever. Did I say ever enough? You will never find a quarterback ever to release the ball like he has. Never. And if they do, it's just when you talk about a guy that can foot it through. I remember Gale Sayers. I seen the video. I'm not old enough to remember him. I remember seeing the video. Give me 6 inches of daylight, and that's all I need.
Oh, wait,
That's
Harry,
okay.
you said, give me 6 inches. I didn't know where that was going.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what.
There for a second.
But hold on. But Dan Marino, he could throw the ball 50 yards downfield in 6 inches of daylight and still get it through your hands. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
And Rock, take that in for a second. Of course, John Elway was off the clock at 1. Of course, he ends up going to Denver after the Colts draft him, and then forget about Jim Kelly, who became a Bill. But the Buccaneers, if they'd have held on to that first-round pick from the year before they traded away for Booker Reese, Dan Marino would have been a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. That's a little scary, especially with the way this organization was ran at the time.
He could have been, and then probably got traded to the Dolphins anyways because he didn't hold your quarterback. So.
Can you imagine?
Maybe
had Dan Marino ever had? Let's start with this running back, a Walter Payton.
Oh,
we almost had a Barry Sanders.
Hold on. How about? And I'll give you one. Okay, I'm not going to be so dramatic. How about a Thurman Thomas?
Oh, we did. He was older.
Yeah. I mean, a younger version. You know what I'm talking about? A younger version of him. I mean, could you imagine what that Miami Dolphins team?
How about the fact that Thurman Thomas, his backup was Barry Sanders at Oklahoma? How scary is that, guys?
Yeah, it was. That was.
God bless. You're talking about a college program, and that's Oklahoma.
You want to hear
Colorado.
A real scary backup? How about Steve Young backing up the one Jim McMahon at BYU?
How about Steve Young was a Buccaneer, which is the reason why I'm even more scared if Dan Marino would have been a Buccaneer. We had Steve Young.
Hey, buddy, you had the better Steve. His name was DeBerg.
Okay, I'm not gonna. I love Steve because I just saw him.
Steve DeBerg.
I saw him at the Clearwater Jazz Festival just a couple of years back, and I'll tell you what, that cat still. You will never not know Steve DeBerg in a crowd because that cat is still 6'5", and he might be a little silver, but he's still good looking as hell. Yeah, I said it, Steve. Call me. I'll DM you.
Can I ask you guys a question though? And I know
Absolutely.
Tom Brady is. We talk about statue, but going into this Miami game against San Fran, do you think? And this is where it comes offensive line. If your offensive line isn't bad, typically you start rolling him out because you don't want pressure in his face. Do you think with the Bucks rolling Tom Brady out,
It never
not
happened.
like
Yeah.
would you?
Tom, did
Yeah,
you just ask
I
you to
know.
roll?
I
What
get it.
was?
I
Hang on,
get
hang
it.
on, hang on,
But
hang on.
You want to know what's really scary, guys?
Okay, hold on. Tom Brady roll out.
I've
What do you
had
mean?
that same
Hang on.
thought. Harry, hold on.
Roll. Hang on.
Roll.
Hey, guys,
Yeah.
can you do me a
Roll.
favor? Hey, can you slow?
Roll.
Can you do me a favor, guys? Do you mind holding that pass rush just a little bit so I can go take 2 minutes to get 10 yards to the right?
Wait, Harry.
Are
No,
you out
Harry.
of your mind?
Rock, let me give you a definitive answer to your question because this is the honest to God's truth. I thought about this just today. I should have been working. I was working, but I was thinking, you're talking about, because you and I, Rock, we talked about the fact that Miami will hopefully use some of that quarterback movement in Tua to avoid the pass rush that the 49ers are going to try to put on there at
we
Levi
will.
Stadium. And my first thought was, you know what? This is so weird to say because I know that Misador is going to jump all over me for this, but I would actually take a Kyle Trask to come in at quarterback for these. If your mo is you have to move the quarterback out of the pocket because these 49ers are going to blow it up, I would actually look to put a Kyle Trask in there and let that kid
Josh
game like he
Rosen.
did back at Florida. I know
Josh
Buck
Rosen.
fans, Josh
Josh
Rosen, Josh
Rosen.
Rosen.
Josh
No,
Oh
Rosen.
I
my
know
gosh.
Buck fans
Josh
call me
Rosen.
silly about that, but you guys saw how shitty this team played against those Browns. You saw how shitty this
Rock,
team played against those
you don't
those
understand,
Steelers.
Rock. It's a personal thing.
With
It is
Josh
a
Rosen?
well, it's a
Just
personal
just
thing.
everybody get their yoga pose, please. And repeat after me 3 times.
Josh Rosen,
Josh Rosen, Josh
I don't.
Rosen, Josh
Josh
Rosen.
Rosen.
I did Josh
Hail,
Rosen, and he
hail
was
to the
terrible.
Josh Rosen.
I
He's
can't.
not terrible. He just didn't have the right. He didn't have the right. I don't know. I still someday.
Hey guys,
Maybe.
I want to bring someone else in here. Actually, you know what, Rock? I want to thank you, brother, for coming in
Yeah.
here. I don't want to push you out here, but I got an exclusive here with this guy. I've been waiting
Yeah,
to
no
talk to this
problem.
guy for a long time. Go ahead, tell people your prediction for Sunday's game with the Dolphins visiting the 49ers. When, yeah, go ahead.
A 38-35 Miami. Uh,
Oh,
it's gonna be close, but I think Miami wins it out. So
So Rock's
38-35.
actually saying he loves the over.
Yep. 38-35. Let's get it done.
at least he didn't say
Get,
six.
as
Get
they
her
say
done.
here in
Get
Florida.
her done.
Get her done.
Hey, Rock, brother, I love you. I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you on Monday after the Dolphins beat those 49ers, and I can get
Yes,
the
sir.
recipe so the Bucks can continue, my friend.
Rock,
All right.
have a great day, bud.
Oh, cut him off. Hey, Harry, can you stick around for a minute?
Sure, man.
Yeah, you sure? Because you tell me. Because I'm
Great.
gonna bring this cat in right now. I tell
Great.
you what,
I
I'm
got
excited.
15. I'm really excited.
Then I'm
who's
gonna
in the
keep
back
you on
room?
a layover. I got in the back room from the Big Game Sports Buzz. You guys know this guy. He's number
Is that-
98 in your program, but number 1 in your heart, Mr. James Canada. Come on in here, James.
Oh, my buddy
How are you,
James.
brother?
I've never actually talked to him. The
What's
Greek was
going
with
on?
Mr. Big Game.
What's going on, guys?
Not much, man. How you doing?
No complaints. It's Friday night, and I'm all over the place like a chicken with my head cut off, but it's all good. I'm glad I had a chance to come on and talk shop with you guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming in here. James, what's this disconnect with this Buccaneers team? What happened there in Cleveland? I know I'm throwing 2 questions at you at once, but I want to know the Big Game Sports Buzz perspective on this. I want to know what James Canada saw when the Bucs lost in Cleveland last week in overtime.
Well, right, last week on my Games Peter perspective, I said there's going to be a couple of things we had to do. One was going to be establish a run game, protect Tom Brady, and put pressure on Jacoby Brissett. You know, Brissett went into a game where he had nothing to lose. He's about to get benched for Deshaun Watson. He's auditioning for every other team in the NFL. So he was out to make plays. For 3 3/4 quarters, the defense did that, but they were on the field way too long. Rashad White, the week before the bye, looked great against Seattle. And then Cleveland was able to stuff the run and get pressure. And for the first time, to me, Tom Brady looked old. He missed on some balls that were just things that he used to do with his eyes closed back in the day. And so a combination of all of that, we know our interior line has been the part that's been beat up with Jensen being out and everything else. We never established a ground game to help alleviate that pressure, and Brady had to throw the ball way too much.
Yeah, I know. And Njoku makes that miraculous left-handed catch there. And, of course, Njoku's out this week with an injury.
Yeah,
Makes a
knee.
great catch. But let me ask you something, James. You played in this league. You played as a Buccaneer and as an Indianapolis Colt. When when Chubb gets that first down inside the Bucks 15 with under 2 minutes to left, and the Bucks seem to be letting it go. I know I've gotten a lot of people hit me up on this. They said, no, when you have a lead, you don't call your timeouts. But James Canada, when you're watching that game, were you thinking call the timeouts just in case?
Yeah, I was, because now I'm thinking even if we get a stop, I'm going to need some time left on this clock to have a chance to get down on field goal range, something. And they burned them. But, Ray, we can go back before then. You get the ball back late in the game. But you're backed up on that punt. It was a pretty good punt for that last series and drive we had. 3 passing plays. You run a total of almost, 7 or 10 seconds off the clock. You don't make Cleveland use any timeouts. So now clock management, even from that standpoint, was horrible.
Yes.
They used no timeouts. They were able to just stop us, get the ball back, and they had everything they needed and the 2-minute warning on their side. It was just total mismanagement from the go.
Yeah, and Harry, hasn't that been some of the disconnect with his team? It's almost as if someone up top says, all right, Byron Leftwich, you and the offense can, run the game for this drive. And then Todd Bowles and the head coach and defense will take it back. It seems like there's been a disconnect, and none of these great coaches forgot how to coach, but this Buccaneers team has had a coaching issue as far as who's the one manning the watchtower this year.
I'm still going to sit on my own laurels and tell you what I see with my own 2 eyes. Handicap him for 35, 40 years, played the game as well, not like Mr. Canada has. But look, when I'm breaking games down and I'm looking at it, I'm telling you this. Everybody's blaming Mike Evans. Something's happened to him. He got too old. Tom Brady's not getting the ball to him. In this particular game, they were playing a corner right up on top of him on man coverage. They had a safety over the top, and even the linebacker was trying to take the inside slant away. Hence the reason they were throwing the ball to the other side of the field in the slot and going to Godwin, and he was 12 for 12. Yep. And I'll tell you another thing. James, I don't know if you noticed this or not. They're not going to respect his run game because not one play did the corners or the safeties even peek into the backfield to see what was going on.
Right.
And when you got a 45-year-old statue sitting in the back, you're right, he's starting to look old. If you want to keep throwing that pill all over the field, he ain't going to finish the season. They don't have the tight ends to block. Tristan Wirfs is giving up the cheeks on every single play. I mean, but 95% of the left tackles in the league can't block.
Miles
Garrett one-on-one.
Yeah.
What am I saying? There isn't one left tackle in this game today that can the whole game hold up against a Myles Garrett. You have to be able to run your protection and slide it over a little bit. Tom Brady's only move is stepping forward into the pocket and delivering a football. But you want to give him some respect, run that damn ball. Because right now, this team is running the ball less than they did with the risk it, no biscuit. That's concerning.
Now, James, Myles Garrett had a great day, and of course, we would have expected.
I'm sorry, I didn't
mean
to take up so much time, but I get pretty passionate when I start.
No, I know you do, but I know
every point was very valid. It was very valid, and I'm right there with you on that.
Go ahead. Expound on it, though, James, please. Go ahead, tell us.
Well, everything you said was fine, and Myles Garrett made a point of saying going into this game, his goal was to try to get to Tom Brady, get him down at least twice, and put the pressure on him. We already, like we said, we know what our line is. And here it is. This guy has one of the highest on hit percent. I don't know. These next gen stats are amazing, right? But he has one of the higher percentages of contact on quarterbacks in the league. And here it is. We're standing out. We're one-on-one blocking, and we're not sliding. We're not chipping. And then the corner who was on Mike Evans did a pretty dang good job. Like the Greek said, they never one time respected the run defense, and he was honed in on him. And we forced the ball to Mike a lot. When we went to Godwin, it tried to help. But at the same time, those balls that Brady could put in that spot a couple years ago, he was missing on the throws. They were long, going over the shoulder, out of bounds, underneath it. And he kept trying to force feed him, and he couldn't do it. It was beyond frustrating watching that game.
Well, James, hold on, Harry, hold on. Let me ask you this. No, you're good, brother. But now Cam Jordan and those New Orleans Saints and Dennis Allen, they're looking at that, and they're thinking we've already got the recipe. And this Buccaneers offense, has there been an issue with the way this offense is being called or the order in which these plays are being called, James? Or is it just the fact that Go
it's
ahead.
nothing consistent, Ray. And I don't even know if it's, most guys, most coordinators have a 25 play script. In those first 15 of the game,
Yep.
you're going to call those scripted plays, see how the defense plays it, make your adjustments to it. I feel like we don't even have a script. I don't even feel like it's a good game plan going in sometimes.
Yes.
And they're just pulling things out their pocket, calling it, not knowing what's going to work. And I'm not trying to be funny. The thing that I think is going to help us this week is that the Saints are almost as bad off on offense as we are right now, being beat up, relying on Andy Dalton. I think the defense can help bail us out of this one. But who would have thought this Tampa Bay offense, even with the injuries we had, couldn't put up more than 18 points a game and stuttering in the red zone like they are.
Yeah, and it's almost like they go back to Cam Brate, which Cam Brate, of course, the undrafted free agent from Harvard. We love this kid, but they were having some success with Cade Otton, and of
I
course,
love Otten.
yeah, I
like Otten.
and Coke Keefe catches his first touchdown in the NFL this week.
Yeah.
But between the 20s, it seemed like the Buccaneers were just like, okay, Cam Brate is back. We're fine with that. There seemed like there was no originality in this offense, and of course that the Browns have a pretty solid defense. Kevin Stefanski had this team in the playoffs last season, and that was with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. I'm kidding. I like to give Baker props or chops, but I mean. Give me something, Harry. You've been breaking down all this tape. Give me some kind of a reason to be positive for this game Monday night as we host the Saints over here at Raymond James Stadium.
The only thing that's going to be positive, and this is where I was going to try to segue something to Mr. Williams. Look, man, Cam Jordan, the guy's getting up there in age, but boy, he's still digging it in, man. I'll tell you what, he's still got one of the quickest releases off the line that I have seen in many, many years. They're going to have to roll some protection over there. What am I going to tell you, man? I don't even know what to say. This is not a really good game for Tampa. They're not going to match up well right now if they continue to try to pass the ball. Mr. Canada, you ready for this? 470 pass attempts, 3,000 yards, 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Those are great stats for any quarterback. But you know what's really concerning? 292 rushing attempts, 470 passing attempps. You want to give Tampa a chance in this game, guys? I don't care if they have 4 consecutive 3-and-outs on. You need to run the football.
James.
And then once you start getting to respect that run a little bit, then watch this passing game open up.
Right, exactly.
James,
yes,
so
sir.
you were the man in the arena. Obviously, I keep selling that, but only because you've literally forgotten more than we'll ever know. But have you noticed with this Buccaneers team in 2022, and this isn't a knock on anybody. This isn't a knock on Coach Bowles or Coach Leftwich or even whatever his title is in the front office, Arians or Jason Light as general manager. But have you noticed that it seems like there's a disconnect between what this coaching staff wants to get accomplished and what ends up getting called on game day?
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of cohesion. And the one main thing, and I said this before, Ray, I don't know why. I mean, okay, Todd Bowles said it was really quick when he got the head coaching job that he was just going to go ahead and keep hold of the defensive coordinator position. I'm one of those guys where I believe that the head coach can't wear too many hats.
Oh,
he needs to be able to manage what's going on in all facets of the game. And if you are so busy trying to come up with what's going to work, what's not going to work in your defense, you don't even really have time to oversee and get onto the offense to make sure they're good game planning and calling. Yes, you have to have trust in your offensive coordinator, but at the same time, I know back in the day, if Coach Dungy did not like something that was called, he was going to step in, say it, and say, no, that's not going to work. Let's get back to doing this. Let's get back to doing that. But to me, if you're so locked in on fixing the defense for the next series, you're not even paying attention. I mean, how do you know what's going on offensively? I was
going to say a great tie in there is, of course, Clyde Christensen was the offensive coordinator back then. He's currently the quarterbacks coach with this Buccaneer squad. And you're right. And I'm not taking a thing away from. I thought Todd Bowles got a bum deal in New York. I thought that it was a mismanagement from the general manager on down. And I know what kind of coach Todd Bowles can be. But I think that even though Coach Arians or Bruce Arians, for health reasons, I think first and foremost, but he steps aside and he tries to get this transitional team. And then Tom is back, so he passes it down. I still think that for some reason it feels like Todd Bowles is like looking over his shoulder, and I think that he does need to rein it in. But the problem is, if he's reining it in, you can't have a team that's trying to be, calling an offense for Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, but yet also being defensive minded. You got to pick one way to go. Let all 53 guys know they're on that page, and then run with it.
Right. Exactly. That's a great point, Ray.
I-
And I don't see. Harry, what were we about to say? I'm sorry.
I got a tough question for you, man, and I want to ask it, and you don't have to answer it. It's going to be kind of a couple of questions.
Okay.
Do you think that this management is afraid of Tom Brady? And let me expound.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think when you have a Byron Leftwich as an offensive coordinator, I think he's going into the huddle with 2 or 3 plays. Okay, hypothetically.
Right.
Do you think he's audibling at the line of scrimmage a little bit too much? And if so, do you think Todd Bowles needs to put this in check?
Well, to all three of those, I do believe that tiptoeing has happened around Tom Brady.
Okay.
I do feel like it.
Thank you for answering that.
And the guy, I mean, that's a legit question. There's no need to back away from it. You know what I mean? And I think because of his stature, and I think Brady's going to get a lot more respect than a lot of quarterbacks get, even from a coaching staff. But at the same time, I believe he's doing stuff here. At least I'm assuming. I don't know. He's doing stuff here that wouldn't have happened in New England under Belichick. You understand
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? Like it wasn't going to happen like that.
So how much of an effect do you think that Tom Brady had on, say, one Bruce Arians not being a head coach of this football team? Because in my opinion, and I have some connections, he got Michael Jordan, brother. Okay? Because you know what happened in Chicago back in 1989 when he had a coach actually removed from Doug Collins, and then they ended up going, with another great coach.
Phil.
Yeah.
Phil Jackson.
I believe it has truth to it because the entire situation to me, going back to this summer and off season when Brady decided to unretire, then all of a sudden, Arians was retired and Bowles was going to be the head coach. It was always fishy to me, and it was almost to the point you have Tom Brady come in, he wins a Super Bowl, he's going to go down as at least probably in my lifetime, the best quarterback to play the game, right? Until the next best comes behind him. I said right after when he said he was done, the Buccaneers either started a QB search or get Trask involved if he was your second round pick and you believe he can lead your team. But you need to have another quarterback ready to go. And when everything happened the way it did, no one wanted to play preseason. I knew the timing was going to be off. I was nervous about the season the entire time because it just didn't manifest correctly to me. Like something was always off, and you still see it. Bowles tries to give the best answer he can in his press conferences, but I feel like he's not telling us what he really wants to tell us what's going on with the team. I feel like you're leaving something out. You're not telling me. I understand you have to worry about your job and protect yourself, but there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than one buck place that we know about.
Wow. You went down that rabbit hole, so I'm going to make you go down one more, okay?
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel if you were the head coach of a football team and the previous head coach, who is now working in the front office, is sitting on your sideline during the game? And you're doing this.
Look, James, you hesitated. I heard it.
I did, because this is my thing.
But you know what I'm talking about, right?
No, I know exactly what you mean. I believe Arians.
This isn't fair to Todd Bowles.
It's not fair at all, but it's the situation he took. Because let's be honest. If it wasn't this situation, who knows if he would have got another chance coaching. A lot of African American coaches don't get the second chances.
No, they don't.
That the Josh McDaniels gets. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't happen like that. So
just ask Eric Bieniemy up in Kansas City. Wait a minute. He hasn't even gotten one.
He hadn't got one, and Jeff Saturday got a job from the ESPN booth in the couch. But that's a whole nother story and segment right there. Check out episode 53 of Big Game Sports Buzz. We touched on that big time.
Yes, sir.
It's got to be hard. You want to go into a situation and be your best, perform your best as a coach, and not only do you have the pressure of winning in the NFL, you have the pressure of winning as an African-American coach in the NFL. It's the elephant in the room. People can say it doesn't exist. It's a lie. I've been in buildings where you're on pins and needles and there's a different standard for you. And yet now you have the coach that won the Super Bowl right around the corner,
Mm.
never knowing if Jason Licht's like, you know what, hey, Bruce is feeling good again. He's gonna come back as the head coach. So you don't know the situation, and it's got to be tough for him to be himself. That's what I believe. I mean, that's just what I
Wow.
think.
You know,
Harry,
that's really
Harry,
strong. And
you
you know what?
said it's the first time you've talked to James Canada, former
It is.
Buccaneer, former Colt.
And
This
you
cat's
have
got it right.
and you have no idea, because I'm going to even go one step further now.
Oh, here we go.
How in
Hold
the
on.
world do you let your franchise quarterback, and I understand it's the GOAT, but even the GOAT needs to practice, and I think you know what I'm talking about. You
Oh.
Are you
don't
talking
go
about the
in the
wedding?
preseason. Oh,
Oh, the
forget the
preseason.
wedding.
Okay,
The
okay.
wedding. How about the preseason? Okay, first off, I'm going to go to a wedding, and I'm going to go the day before a walkthrough. I'm on the road, and I'm going to go hang out with my old boss, Mr. Robert Kraft. That's another issue in itself.
Right.
But I'm talking about the preseason. Okay, you don't want to dress up and play, but shouldn't your ass be sitting on that sideline, coaching your players up and discussing it with them? And by the way, I knew something was wrong when they fed Leonard Fournette like Ezekiel Elliott, and they put on 60 pounds coming on before camp. You just don't do that. Okay, that experiment's over.
Yeah.
That man,
Yeah.
Mr. White, needs to be RB1 on this football team. This is just my
Yes.
opinion.
Yeah.
But you want to know something? If that was to happen, that would light a little fire up someone's certain little butt, and I think he'd be playing a little bit better, and maybe he'd be catching the ball out of the backfield, because this is another thing this team is lacking, is receptions coming out of the
Yeah.
backfield. But
Yeah.
I
Well, yeah,
want
but
your opinion.
Harry,
How
yeah, no,
important
let
is
me
it
set
for
it up.
your quarterback to be there?
Yeah, go ahead, James.
I think I've touched on this with Ray a lot, and I touch on it with everyone when I talk about
Oh.
it. I'm a player that made my first time making a roster was because of my performance in the preseason. One, they've already taken away one game, so you go from 4 to 3.
God bless you.
At some point in time, you have to gel, you got to practice, you have to build that camaraderie and that chemistry on the field, right? This whole lack of the entire league not participating in preseason because it doesn't matter is why the first 4 weeks of the NFL season was trash. And I hate saying that about a game I love to death. But the first 4 weeks of the NFL season were god awful. And for the
Yes.
teams who didn't get that 3-quarter dress rehearsal like you usually get in game 3 of the preseason back when I played was just like super stank, like the worst football to watch ever. 6-3 football games, so many turnovers, drop balls, and let's not even talk about injuries. I really believe your body is conditioned and trained to sustain certain hits, certain movements from putting in the work in the off season and in the preseason, and that wasn't there. So you going out the first game of the season trying to go 100 miles per hour without warming the car up, and you got a blowout on the track.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's big time. And yes,
Even
you're
if
the
you're not
greatest.
playing,
Yes,
even if you're not playing,
I
you
want to see
have
your
to be
presence
there.
as a guy in the locker room.
Right.
I want to know the person I'm going to war with and believe in has the same mindset that I have. And if you out taking a hiatus, with rumors saying filming a Masked Singer or whatever else it may be, or just not participating for certain things,
No, yes.
there's issue with that, and it should be issue with that. And if you're not man enough to speak up on it as other teammates in the locker room with him about how he handled things, then you're going to get the results that we getting. Because I guarantee you, no one on that team is challenging Tom Brady to anything he does action wise.
Well,
It's
you know,
not
guys,
happening.
And
the
they
latest
need to.
the latest rumor now is, and it's only, I say rumor, it's just that some people speculate in the national media that if Tom Brady were to come back for his 73rd season, it'll be 24th, that maybe he would go back and play for those New England Patriots. And I'm not trying to take away from whatever may happen still with this season. Maybe Jensen comes back, maybe Tristan's not as bad as we thought, maybe this team finds their mojo that they really haven't had. Like you said, James, they've had some bright spots this season, but this team, they didn't have their mojo since the start of this thing.
Right.
Would Tom Brady going back to the New England Patriots possibly be the best thing long-term for this Buccaneers team so they can start that search? And if Kyle Trask is the guy, get him those reps he needs?
Ray, you saw the message I sent you earlier today. And,
Yes, I did.
People think I'm crazy. If this is a team that's going to go limping into the playoffs, let's go ahead and strap the TNT on it now and blow it the hell up.
Yep.
Yes.
Amen.
Let's
Lord.
send Tom Brady where he's going. Let's get a better draft pick. Let's build for what we're going to build for the future.
Get a better schedule.
And let's move on. Yes, our schedule was hard, but it's the NFL. You adjust to it. We could have the easiest schedule right now, and I don't believe it. I just don't believe it will work because of how we're playing.
Wow. Yes, and you're on here with Harry the Greek, who's also a closet Chicago Bears fan. Of course, Justin
No, not
Fields.
closet. I am a huge
Well, he's a
Chicago Bear
huge Bears
fan.
fan, but they're basically playing for that cap room they're going to have in that schedule in 2023.
Right.
And you're right, James. When you sent me that, I
100,
started asking,
150 million next year, baby.
but I started asking around.
150.
You're not gonna, then that and
150.
well, that's the reason why when I saw you pop in here tonight, I posed that to Buccaneer fans, and I'm sorry we can't take comments in here because Facebook's not treating me right. But I posed to Buccaneer fans that if the Buccaneers are going to NFC least or limp back into and they even get to host a game, if they're going to back into a playoff game and then still be this team that we've seen showing up most of 2022, you're not going to say throw a game because Vegas doesn't want to hear that, do they, Harry?
Oh, no, they don't. Everything's about gambling, and that's the whole thing that's so funny. And you know what? I've been a professional handicapper and gambler for, the better part of my life when it comes to sports. But I will be the first one to tell you, gambling has no spot in any sporting venue across this country. It needs to stay in the casinos, and that's just my personal opinion. Because now you're going to start finding referees, players. I've known Pete Rose for Ray. I've told you the stories,
Yes.
25, 30 years. And you know what? It's that's another rabbit hole. We don't have enough hours to talk about it. But James, I think you can remember when the Buccaneers went to the Super Bowl back, what was it, 02?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When the commissioner was asked about getting a commercial from Las Vegas, to go ahead and advertise something, and they went, "Oh my God, that's Satan! Oh my God, you can't talk about that. Oh no, no gambling."
It was
the NFL.
the tourism, the Vegas,
Right.
the Las Vegas tourism they
hold
wanted
on.
to do.
Then in 2017, well, it might be okay.
Hey,
In
Archie, Peyton
2019,
Manning.
and in
Yes.
2019, well, we're not going to tell you that's because of the $6 billion we're going to receive every single year, but I think it's going to be okay to put a sports book in every single venue, whether it's baseball, hockey, football.
Hey, Harry, first of all, brother, thanks for coming in here. But before I get you out of here, and I want you to tell everyone where we can find you, because I'm usually there with you if you'll have me. But
Of course.
Is there any truth to the fact that in 1979, the worst of first Tampa Bay Buccaneers squad, if they would have made the Super Bowl or ended up winning that Super Bowl in 79, that they would have broke Vegas?
Actually,
I know
they
you've
would
heard
have,
it.
and I'm going to tell you why, because they were an underdog, and they were a long shot to actually make it in there. And there were people that actually, matter of fact, I knew for a fact the man, what I took his name after, Jimmy the Greek Snyder, had a $500,000.
Yes.
He had a $500,000 position prior to the season starting on a proposition bet that the Buccaneers would win the Super Bowl.
Wow.
That, my friend, that he would never have had to do any TV work. Never had to bet another game. He would have just rode off into the sunset instead of being broke and passing away in Vegas like he did. Unfortunately, God bless him and rest his soul. But I'll tell you what, James, you don't know much about me. I'm a huge Chicago Bear fan. I've been down in Florida literally my own life. I go back and forth to Chicago. I have friends up there that are former players as well, from the baseball side to the football side. And we just try to kind of intermingle, the Chicago Tampa vibe thing,
Gotcha.
And I don't know. Did you ever like playing up there?
I hated it. and the reason I say that is I got some great food whenever we went to Chicago.
Yes.
When I tell you some of the coldest winters, it
Oh.
felt like, why in the hell are we always in Soldier Field
It's
when
brutal.
it's beyond cold? And here it is, we all running out the locker room with sleeves and all kind of stuff on. You see these guys all greased up with Vaseline on their arms, like they're not even cold. They gonna kick our ass.
Yeah, I got a question. I got a question for you. Who did you play against in your years up in Chicago? Who didn't you like to play against?
Blake Brockemeyer, the offensive tackle from Texas, was an. I think if I saw that guy on the street now, we might get into it because I don't know what it was. I mean, I'm talking about the cheap shots, the hits after the whistle.
Now, was Jay Hilgenberg still the center there, or was it Olin?
It was Olin Cruz. Well, Hilgenberg the first time.
Yeah.
Cruz came in. When I say, and people always ask me who was like one of the best centers I played against, I always throw Olin Cruz there. Dermontti Dawson from the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Cruz, I seen this guy hike the ball and be able to reach almost all the way over to a 3 technique. I'm like, what the hell? How do you get down the line that fast and that quick? and hands so damn strong. If he got them on you, it was gonna be tough to create separation to get him away from you.
I will tell you
it was
one.
crazy.
I want to tell one story before I get out of here. I ran into Coach Lovey Smith over at Lakewood High School. I do a little bit of work with the Lakewood High School students and some of the student body and everybody down there. But anyway, long story short, he was down when he was working at the University of Illinois as the head coach there, and he was out recruiting some of the players. And Coach Corey Moore from Lakewood had me down there. Long story short, we were talking about a particular game that he was coaching against the 49ers. And I was sitting at the visitors' tunnel in very first row, and Mike Singletary's the head coach. Okay. And he's coming out with his rookie quarterback, Alex Smith. I don't know if he was a rookie, but he was young. I mean, we weren't really screaming obscenities, but I think some of the things we said were when he was coming out, "Hey, Alex, you're a long way from Kansas, baby. Welcome to Chicago." It was 42-0 at halftime. The Bears were winning. And the reason why I'm bringing up this story, because you're going to kind of laugh, Mike Singletary's coming back toward the tunnel, and he's got eye contact with me. And I'm not a person who's going to curse, okay? God never blessed me like that at cursing any kind of players. I didn't like it. And I just hang up the L, and I went, "How's it feel, Mike?" He twisted his nuts. His eyes got super big. He's trying to climb the side of the stadium. He's screaming every F-bomb in the world, okay? So here it is. So I'm telling Coach Smith about it because he's sitting on the other side. And I remember the Bears team itself, they were just sitting there and they were pointing, going, like, what the hell is Mike doing, man? Why is he going crazy?
Right.
So when Singletary went back into the tunnel, people are throwing their beer on me, the whole 9 yards. What did you say to Mike Singletary? The guy's like revered as a god in Chicago, right? So security's going to come escort me out of the game. Richard Dent was a field reporter standing in front of me. I didn't even know he was there. And Richard says, "Hey, man, the fan didn't do anything. He didn't curse at him, didn't do anything. You need to leave him alone." And I was like, "Hey, thanks a lot, sir, and I appreciate it." Now, God rest his soul, my father was alive at the time. But after the game was over, here comes Mike Singletary trotting off the field, and I'm trying not to make eye contact. The guy's scary. I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah.
The eyes, you wanted to like fall over and cry. I mean, it was just insane. And he goes, "Hey, sir, you got a second?" "Yeah." And I'm kind of leaning back. He's kind of down there. He says, "The Lord spoke to me, and it just really wasn't, right for me." He says, "I'd like to give you this football." He says, "But after what I've done for this city, I mean, how can you say that to me?" I said, "Mike, what color are you wearing?"
Oh,
Seriously, man. He says, "Welcome to Chicago, baby." And he goes, "You know what? Fair enough, sir." And he just throws me the football up there. True story. And coach says, "Yeah, I had to answer questions for that, by the way, Harry." He says, "That made it on ESPN." And he says, "That was you?" I was like, "Yes, sir, that was me."
Harry, tell us where we can find you on Sundays, especially, my friend.
You can catch me on 1252 Sports out of Chicago Sunday morning for the hottest picks around the National Football League. We're going to be breaking them down. We're 11 for 12 right now on underdog picks for the year. We're going to have a really, really good time. You can also catch me with Peter Blake on the Sports Web Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'm usually, some other days sometimes, but we'll see you Sunday morning on 1252 Sports with my co-host, Mr.
What about here with me too, bro?
I just said, oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
And on a Cup of Ray on
All
the
right.
COR. And you know what? We might have to get Mr. James Canada on there one time. We'll go
I'll
through
tell
a
you
couple
what.
of games.
That's a
Okay.
get, brother.
Yeah.
Hey,
man,
Harry.
it's a lot of fun. We do a lot of round table things, and we just
Okay.
talk about certain things.
brother.
I would love to jump in one day, Harry. I appreciate that, man.
Big game. Be blessed, my brother. Thanks a lot, Ray.
Thank
We'll talk
you.
to you later.
All
Take
right.
care, Harry. I love you, brother.
All right.
Cut him out of here. James, so
Yes, sir.
Monday night, you already alluded to the fact that, or we were talking about earlier, that the New Orleans Saints, they don't have an offense. They don't have a running game, but they don't have an offense like we saw with the Browns, if you will, last week. And, of course, next week we go out there to Levi Stadium versus the 49ers. You're breaking this thing down. Tell me, what can we be positive about for Monday night's game versus this Dennis Allen-led Saints team? What can we look forward to in getting that victory and getting back to 500?
I'm gonna say something that just sounds so cliche. Take care of the ball and do the best we can, and don't just maximize opportunities. In all honesty, Ray, every time I tune in, I don't know what to expect when I watch this team. I don't know what's going to happen when we perform. I know Devin White has caught hell from fans prior to these last two games, and he played his heart out these last two games. The defense
Yes.
played well. Vita Vea, Hicks being back, so it gave you some hope. Our secondary is healthy again. It's like, yeah, we got this, we can do it. But then on the offensive side of the ball, it's been the same old show and performance almost every week. So it's like I never know what to expect. So I'm gonna tell the fans this: do not go into this game expecting a miracle. Prepare, pray for the best, but expect the worst. It's kind of the mindset that I have now. To don't go in hopes too high, but at the same time, I believe they can still right the ship. I do believe that because they have professionals on this team.
Yes.
Someone's gonna have to step up to make that play and to not. And I feel like we putting too much pressure on Brady. We want him to be the answer for everything, and that can't happen. So use Rashad White as much as we can. Even Vaughn, he had a couple carries last week, but get something done where everything doesn't come down to us passing the ball 50 something times a game because that formula will not work against that Saints defense.
And you had yourself, of course, you were a big part of it, but you had the good fortune of playing with the Buccaneers from '98 to '01, and of course playing under Coach Dungy there in Indianapolis. So you played on some great teams. But I think that that's one of the things that disconnects from me. I'm trying so hard, James. You and I are about the same age. In fact, I think we are the same age. I'm trying so hard not to sound like old guy, but I think a lot of these young people need to realize that you don't just win them every week. You don't win every game. There's paid professionals on both sides, and one of
Yeah,
the things about being a fan of these teams is sometimes you're going to have as many memories in the losses as you do the victories.
very true.
And I think that when you hit me with that message today, talking about just, and all we're doing is we're just talking about it, we're talking it out, that at the end of the day, you want to say the Bucks back in, they win the East. We go, of course, that last game of the year, we're going to be out there in Atlanta versus those Falcons. They're going to
Right.
catch fire, but there's a lot of offensive line injuries. We got a lot of question marks on this team. You start to wonder if we don't win them all and we start to position ourselves with a better draft pick, and maybe if the Falcons won the South, and I'm not going to go all there, but at
Right.
the end of the day, it may not be the worst thing because you're not going to win them all.
Yeah, and Ray, that, like, anybody watching this and heard what I said earlier, now don't think for 1 minute I want us to bottom out and not do good. But my whole point is, if we can get this thing going in the right direction and win, then maybe I would believe that we have hope to really win that playoff game. But like I said, the team and the way we've been playing now, if this is the same offense that gets into a playoff situation, we're not going to be in position to win. And that's what I don't want. But if we can turn it around, if we can start getting into the end zone more than 18 points a game, then I believe we might have a legit chance because I know, first and foremost, that Dallas Cowboys team that we played the first week and beat,
Oh,
if we played them the way we play now, we would come out on the losing side with that defense the way
now
they're playing.
Chase Talk's getting in your head too much, isn't he?
Hey,
I'm kidding.
Ray, he's
No, I
licking
agree.
he's licking his chops, and we did a segment on Tuesday called Between the Lines, and the question was, what's wrong with the Bucks, Packers, and Rams this season? And he was loving it to death. He couldn't wait to talk about Tom Brady and the Buccaneers and how he wants to get another. He hopes that they get another chance
Oh,
of playing us. I said, be careful what you ask for because it all depends on what team we turn into. But they say Wirfs is probably
yes.
out 4 weeks. Jensen's timetable of being back, we still don't really know what that is. So that's why I'm so skeptical about what I think can happen offensively because it's the interior. And now with that anchor piece on the outside being hurt, it really shakes things up to where I don't know how we manage blocking and to really establish the running game that we want to run. We want to run the ball, but
Yes.
what are we going to do to get it there?
Well, see, and that's one of the things I think comes with age. And I mean that in a positive thing is that we realize that you're not going to win them all. And of course, no, we're not at all saying here tonight that we would think or we would hope or how much better it would be for this Buccaneers team to back into something else. But at the same end of the day, what we're saying is that this team is still going to put out their best foot. Hopefully, they're on Monday night versus those Saints. But at the end of the day, you're not going to win them all. And let's remember that if you don't win them all, sometimes there is a little bit of silver in that, a silver lining in those clouds.
Yeah, I mean, it's realistic. If there's any fan that comes into a season that goes, "Hey, my team's going to be 17-0 this year," they're delusional and don't know the game. I mean, it's just you that Miami Dolphins dream season.
Yes.
I don't see that happening again anytime soon. Like, and I may be surprised. I may be wrong. We saw how close team the Patriots got, but it doesn't happen like that. It's hard to do that in this league because everyone you play is a professional. They all get paid, and
Yes.
guys are playing for contracts sometimes. So you get everyone's best effort a lot of times, especially everyone that's playing against Tom Brady, and this may be his last go around. You best believe you. You know how many guys I talked to right at to go, hey, my first interception was against the GOAT. I
Yeah,
got one
right?
against him, or I got to play against him, or I sack. So everyone wants that nugget to be able to hang on to. So the Buccaneers are gonna get everyone's best every time.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of hungry defensive backs between now and the end of the season, wherever that season may end. James, of course, I'm joined again, if you don't know already, James Canada from the Big Game Sports Buzz, also locking it down with the Chop Shop, and Jay Stoggs on Tuesday nights. But James, of course, we've been talking here in Tampa Bay a lot this week. USF, the Bulls are looking for a coach. But of course, Primetime puts his name in. No, well, he didn't put his name in the hat, but his name popped up. Where
Right.
do you think? Of course, I think we all agree that Sunday morning, hopefully after Jackson State finishes that undefeated season, where do you think Coach Primetime is going to announce that he's going to for 2023 on Sunday morning?
Hey, you know what? In all honesty, for some reason, I think Deion Sanders stays put at Jackson State.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
I think it has to be the right situation. This is the one thing I know from talking Deion, knowing Deion, and meeting him before. He's not going to put himself in any situation just to say he's the coach at a certain
Yes.
school or a certain level of school. Um, the man is amazing when it comes to the networking, the people he knows, what he can do, who he touches, how he does it, and I think that he's really going to sit back and evaluate it. So if Dion does take this job, take the South Florida job, it's going to be a really good situation for him, and he's going to be able to come in and do things the way he wants. But for
Yes.
some reason, my gut feeling is he's going to ride it out at Jackson State for one more year. That's just what I think. I don't
Let
I
me.
don't think that he's done doing what he wants to help
Yes.
HBCUs do and the SWAC conference do. So
And also, you know what else too? I'm sorry to cut you off, brother,
mhm.
but you're a dad. You got a beautiful family. I'm a dad. I got a beautiful family, and we know prime time. And he's coaching his sons. He's very fortunate to be there. And I think that at the end of the day, you can tell me about Colorado, Cincinnati, USF. You can talk to me about millions of dollars, but he's going to make the best decision for his sons and for his family. Because as a dad, I think we both
Yeah.
agree that's what it's going to come down to, isn't it?
Yeah, at the end of the day, man, Coach Prime, as he likes to call himself, which is still so crazy to me. I love it. He's a father first. I mean, and
Yes.
he treats not, he said he wanted best for that university because not just the kids that go there. He said my kids go here. He said,
Hmm.
so if I want certain things for my kids, I want them for every student here. What he's done for the female programs there on campus, helping get new softball fields built for the women's softball team. He's going to do what's best. And not to say that he couldn't take a job and his kids go into the portal and go with them, but at the same time, if staying put is best for them, then I think that's what Coach Prime is going to say was best for him as well.
Yeah, and even back when they had the storms, they had some storms this last summer, and they had water problems there because
Yeah,
they have problems with those public works and the utilities there in Miss. And even then, I was like, that's the kind of impact that coach is making there. And you know what? He's setting an example for not only for his entire program, but for his sons and for his entire family. I'm glad you said that, but I just hope that the rest of the country knows that if we here in Tampa Bay had a chance to get Coach Prime, we'd take him in a minute. James Canada, thanks for
yeah,
joining me in here. I know
man,
time
not
is
a
so.
problem at all.
I appreciate you. Go ahead and tell everyone where they can find Mr. James Canada.
Hey, you can catch me every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central Time on Big Game Sports Buzz. We're working on redoing our Chop Shop show, but hey, we're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. The channel's Big Game Sports Buzz and also Big Game Entertainment. Just always trying to drop knowledge of what's going on here around the world of sports, primarily NFL, but we touch on a little bit of everything. Try to give you a variety show. And the Twitter tag is at BG Sports Buzz or at JCan97.
Brother, I mean this sincerely, not just because you're in my DMs, but it's an honor, and I really appreciate you coming in here, James Canada. Have a great evening and enjoy your weekend.
Hey, thanks for everything, Ray. Man, you do the same.
Thank you, brother. I tell you what, he drops it right there. I mean, at the end of the day, I'll be honest with you, just as a fan, not only a fan of Deion Sanders and a fan of football and a fan of fathers everywhere, but, if he ends up staying at Jackson State, I'm good with that. USF's going to figure out who they got. But if he does leave, USF's a place. And of course, I started this show off by telling you guys and girls tonight's show is about misconceptions. And the big news today was that Stu Sternberg has pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered. They've got a deal with a contracting group or with a builder to go ahead and look at the fact that they're going to try to build a stadium over here at Tropicana Field at the site. Now, I haven't gotten a chance to dig into that, but my boy Peter Blake was the one that broke that for me, and he was talking about it. And you go back and look at what he did back on CDW or CD44 back in the day. How you doing, brother? Talking about the Rays being able to build a stadium here. I would take a Rays waterfront stadium, even if it means that they still take the other 80 acres. We are going to. Did you hear the news today? Yeah, they announced today that Stu Sternberg, the team, actually has an agreement with a contractor to build a stadium here in St. Pete. How's that, bro? Yeah? Yeah.
Are you on YouTube?
YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, but right now I'm only getting 3, but that's my StreamYard, so I got a lot more viewers than that.
Tampa has taken everything they possibly can from us. We need to keep the stadium here.
How old are you? How old are you?
I'm 17.
Dude, you're talking like a veteran. I'm 53, and you're talking exactly how I feel.
They took the times from us.
Yes.
Yeah.
They got the Bucks. They have the Lightning. They got enough, but the Rays are ours. Right?
We have the Rays.
Yes.
Usually the same P times, but now it's the
Tampa Bay. And let's be honest, would you rather be over in Ybor or here in St. Petersburg? There you go, bro. All right.
St. Pete is.
It's the bomb.
It's a utopia. Hey.
It's right there. Hey, yo, guys, have a great evening, man. Hey, I'm on. Hey, you can find me. I'm on SportsWeb, but look up Ray Kennedy on Facebook. Kennedy like the president. You won't forget it. Ray Kennedy, and you'll see this show. Ray Kennedy, like the president. All right, brother. What's your name? Finn. Nice to meet you, brother. Hey, you guys. Hey, take it evening, man. You too, brother. Take care, guys. I'll tell you what. You guys take care. You know what? That made my night. I got 17-year-olds walking, and it's funny because we talked about, and I'm going to go with misconceptions. The misconception when I was working for Sports Talk Florida, covering the Rays, credentialed media, I was asking, I started the show off talking about this. I was asking everybody, to a man and woman in the press box over there at Tropicana Field, tell me how this can work. Tell me how St. Pete keeps this team. And everybody, to a man and woman from the top to the bottom, said it doesn't. It doesn't work. They got to be in Tampa Bay. If you're talking about money, you're talking about 50% of the development rights that Stu Sternberg and the owner and the Rays get for being here in St. Petersburg past 2027, developing 80 acres over here at Tropicana Field. And I'm driving up 275 or 75, 275, which is extension between the 75s, between Tampa and down in Sarasota. They're already building condos west of Tropicana Field. You can't even see Tropicana Field cleanly from the interstate anymore. They got condos going up 20 blocks or 15 blocks west of here. So you want to talk about the money, the financial impact, the feasibility of being able to get half of the development rights for Tropicana Field. And I'm not saying that Stu Sternberg's doing this, it's all about money, but let's be honest, guys and girls, at the end of the day, he's an investor. He sits on things. He buys low and sells high. But what I'm talking about is Mayor Al Lang in 1918 proposes to start having baseball here in Tampa Bay because he realizes, here in St. Petersburg, because he realizes that when pitchers and catchers report in February, guess what? Buried a lead. Well, that was before global warming, but I won't go there. I'll save that for another night. But he realizes this is the best goddamn weather in this entire country for baseball teams to come down and start their training and get ready for the season. Now, we've already talked about the fact that you're going to have an indoor or a covered stadium for your Rays to play here through July, August, and September because it gets hot down here. But the fact of the matter is the city of St. Petersburg stepped up. They built the Pinellas Suncoast Dome way back in the day. In 1986, the stadium's done. Now, I talk about misconceptions. I talk about misconceptions with the White Sox and the Giants and all the teams and the Seattle Mariners, the teams that used Tampa Bay because we had the Pinellas Suncoast Dome at the time as a chance to get a new stadium for the places they were at and didn't end up coming here until baseball in 1998 goes ahead and they have we go ahead and they expand and they bring us the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, which at the time now they're the Tampa Bay Rays. And I'll revert that back to the fact that the misconception this week, when, of course, my boy J.P. Peterson, which I've already said our politics aren't the same, but he reports that the deal was almost 90% in place. And I love talking about with that James Canada just a moment ago, because you know what? Coach Dion, for his family, for Shadur, and for the rest of his family, may end up just staying where he's at, because he's doing a pretty damn good job with the historically black colleges and universities. And you know what? I think us all as football fans, or just humanity fans, and definitely me as a father, I applaud that. But the misconception was, as JP reports, that there was an agreement in place at 90%. But my problem was is that there were certain people in the national. Hey, girls, how are you tonight? There are certain people that cover sports in the Bay Area that wanted to start going picking on a JP Peterson. And they kind of went out of the way a couple of times to air quotes talking about this guy. And you know what? This guy, JP Peterson, used to be locking it down at 620 WDAE. And I'm not going to name names here, but I'm going to say I had a fucking problem with that, because you know what, guys? You haven't been here half as long as I fucking have. You sure as hell haven't been here as long as JP Peterson has. And I get that you're trying to do a job to put food on your family, but do me a favor. Don't do it by shitting on other people's tables. Just do it by trying to do a great job. You're doing a good job. Just keep doing a good job you're doing. Don't break people down. Build people up. And the misconception there was, even though that there may not have been the deal 90% in place for it, the fact of the matter is we found out now through national media that that Deion Sanders has been talking with the USF Bulls. He has been talking with the Cincinnati Bearcats, and he has been offered by the Colorado Buffaloes. But my problem this entire week, and the reason why I did this entire show on a Friday night, well, I want to talk about the stadium, but really I want to talk about the fact that there's room in this sports market and sports radio. Build people up, don't break them down. If you got to break people down to do your job, then you're not doing a good job. And I need to have your job, because you know what, son of a bitch? I'll be the best goddamn radio person that this Bay Area has had talking about sports. I can do it, I will, and I'm going to. Stay tuned. My other misconception was, of course, the USA taking on tomorrow the Netherlands at 10 a.m. in the round of 16 in the World Cup. And what a great game this week. I love watching them. Of course, they beat Iran 1-0 the other day. And of course, I think I really said early on that England played not to lose last Saturday. I love the fact that my son and I, first time in my life, 53 years I've been on this earth, and the first time in my life that I said, well, I can't say that, because I used to go to the Rowdies games back in the day, literally every home game. Watched Pele play the Rowdies, Rodney Marsh. I got to meet Coach Connell. I got to meet most of the Rowdies at the time. I had some insight. Got to sit down with my family and my son for the first time. I coached his under 18 2 years, but I got to sit down and I got to watch these World Cup. And I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. versus Netherlands in the round of 16. But I know one thing. I'm going to be down here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill out here on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg, watching it, because Coach is opening this place at 9 a.m., not 11, so you can come down and get a spot to watch the World Cup. And I don't know how it's going to end, but you know what? I don't always got to root for a winner like your Buccaneers in 2022. We may not win them all. We may not go to the Super Bowl. Hopefully we do, but we may not. We still have the greatest of all time at quarterback. But you know what, guys and girls? I'll end the show with this misconceptions being the theme, about the fact that it's a misconception. It's always about winning. Everything in life, you like to tell your kids, strive to win. We want to tell ourselves do better to win. Of course, we always want to do our best. But the truth of the matter is, we're not going to win them all. We're going to lose some too. Just remember, it's not just always about the destination. It's every bit as much about the journey. I couldn't get that one out straight. Again, Coach Ferg, thanks for letting me come down here whenever I go live down here on Ferg Sports Bar and Grill, the world famous down here on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge. I couldn't do it twice. Thanks for joining me, guys and girls. Do me a favor, share the show. And you know how I ever end every one of these, although I forgot to do it last week because I was in a hurry like I am tonight. Everyone needs to know someone cares this weekend. Why don't you be the one to let them know? Guys and girls, I love you all. Thanks. Please share the show. I appreciate you. And I'm going to go and end it and have a great weekend. Oh, and I hope you had a good Thanksgiving and happy holidays. Yeah, I'm not. I will now. Take care, y'all.